Alright, so today we're going to do a slightly different video. This one isn't covering a specific topic. I just figured I'd take some time and just talk about all the instruments that I have in my collection. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos where people do that, and I felt like it might be fun, and you are a literal captive audience, and you have to watch my videos. So we're going to go through it. There'll be like a one-question assignment on Google Classroom. So let's get to it. We're going to go in chronological order of when I got my instruments. So first up, and with a different camera angle, because my instruments are too big to fit into camera, we have a PV Foundation fretless electric bass. This was made in like 1995, the year I was born. The reason this is the first instrument I own, and this is a weird instrument to start on, because I was playing double bass in middle school, and I got this as a Christmas gift this Christmas of my 6th grade year, so my first year playing. It's a fretless, so meaning it doesn't have the frets that a normal electric bass would have. Like I can smoothly slide up and down the neck. And it has this nice growly tone. But it's very difficult to play because there's no frets, so it's very easy to play out of tune, just like it's easy to play out of tune on the big bass or a violin. It's really fun. I like playing it. You can get a lot of cool sounds. It just has that nice growl to it, which I really enjoy. This was my primary bass for about 2 years. Next up, we have an instrument that probably a lot of you recognize. This is my violin. It personally belongs to me, and it is by far the oldest instrument in my collection. The actual date of its creation is sort of a mystery, but estimates are between 1900 and 1880, so between 120 and 140 years old. It's a copy of another significantly older, significantly more expensive instrument. I don't think this is a particularly great violin, but it has a lot of history behind it. My great-grandfather would play this in Oregon, and apparently it won old-time fiddle competitions in Oregon. It sounds fine. It plays fine, but I think it could sound better, and play better. The one that I use at school, which is not this one, it's a different one, plays significantly better and sounds better. But this one, it has a nice history to it, and I like having it. It's very useful. I got this when I was in middle school, probably 8th grade. My grandparents had it in their collection. Not that they had a collection, but they were holding on to it. And they gave it to me because I was interested in music and in orchestra. So they're like, "Hey, take this. This is yours now. Take care of it." They probably shouldn't have given it to a middle schooler, but it's fun. And I didn't play it too much then, but I really got into playing it in college when it became part of my coursework. And nowadays, I'm a somewhat decent violin player. Next up, we have another electric bass. I got this one, I think, at the end of my freshman year of high school. I actually had a bass, an electric bass, between this one and the fretless I got, I think, 8th grade year of middle school, but it wasn't my primary bass for very long. This one is a 5-string electric bass, and it adds a lower string. So an E string is the lowest on a normal bass and on the double bass. And then this has a lower B. It just is earth-shattering. It's so low. It's very low, and the reason I bought this bass, and specifically a 5-string, was so I could play a lot of these lower lines. I was doing a lot of stuff with band, like trumpets and all that, and they play in different keys than we do in orchestra, and so and I was doubling tuba parts, so I was playing the parts that tubas would play, and they have on paper, it's a lower range than what the bass had, even though the bass is technically lower. And it was just a hassle to be reading those ledger lines below what I have and transposing it up, and it makes lines awkward. So I would just play those where they were written, all the way down there. This was my bass, my primary workhorse bass for a long time, from high school through college and until this year. It's a nice bass. It's a Fender Jazz, and it's very versatile. It plays in a bunch of different genres. Sounds good, solid. I really did like this bass, and I like having it in my collection. This is my double bass. I bought this my junior year of high school. It was a really interesting story. So I bought this off of Craigslist from a guy, and I go with my family to go check it out. And the dude's just kind of really, really weird. So we go, we're trying the bass out, and he goes over to my mother. It's like, do you know what ACV means? And we're all just scratching our heads, and we're like, no idea what ACV means. And then he's like, yeah, because I've been reading online about things, like I'm having gallbladder surgery soon, and they say like ACV helps with gallbladder stuff. And we were just really, really confused. We didn't know why this guy who we're going to buy an instrument from is talking about ACV and gallbladders. It's just really bizarre. And then suddenly it clicks. ACV means apple cider vinegar, which apparently, if you're curious, helps with your gallbladder. So this is my bass. It's nice. I've been using it since high school for a long, long time. It's definitely the bass I used the most during college. I got it at a really good price. A lot of basses are made of, it's called laminate, but essentially it's plywood. And it just means it's a whole bunch of thin layers of wood stacked on top of each other. This is a laminate back and side, but the top is one piece of wood. It's a carved piece. This would be considered a hybrid bass, and those typically start around $3,000, and I got this for significantly less than that. It was made in China, so it's not the highest quality instrument you could theoretically purchase, but it's really nice. I've had a lot of work done on it. It plays really well. Has a pretty good sound. It really projects well. I really like it. The bow is an entirely different story. The bow I bought in 2018, so it's pretty new to my collection. This bow costs about as much as this bass did. And it's great. When I was in high school, I would use French bow, which is an overhand hold, but in college, my professor said I was garbage at it, so he had me switch to an underhand hold. And while I was in college, I was able to use a bow that was owned by the school. But then once I graduated, it's like, well, I need a bow to actually play bass. So I figured I might as well buy a good one while I was at it. So that's the story of the bow, and they go together, obviously. Yeah, I've been really content with my bass. Going back into guitar land, I have an acoustic guitar. I got this my sophomore year of college because I had a class which required having a guitar. So I got it for Christmas, actually. It's a really nice guitar. It's a really nice bassy full tone. It's a Seagull S6 with a nice spruce top. It is used and has some fun wear on it, like there. It's harder to see this wear, but there's wear right there too. I once got in an argument with a roommate in college about how that wear got there. He said that, like, yeah, given how it is, it has to be deliberate. And I'm like, no, you're dumb. That's not how it happened. It's a guy who would just strum and would Why would they wear it on purpose? They're not Willie Nelson. I'm not a great guitar player, but I can play something. Play some fun chords. I'm functional. And this is a great guitar. Like, I couldn't ask for a better guitar. For someone who doesn't play a whole lot of guitar, this meets all of the needs that I have. It sounds good. It has a pickup inside, plays in tune, holds tune. Nice bassy tone. It's a bit big, but that helps with the tone. I really like it. Glad I have it. A literal small entry in my collection. I have a recorder. I had to buy it for a class. I'm not good. A lot of people give the recorder a really bad rep. It's actually a pretty nice instrument if played well and not made out of plastic like this one. The trick is to maintain good breath support. You don't need to blow very hard to make a sound. And the harder you blow, it gets out of tune. So it's nice, slow breath. Yeah, I'm not great, but this is also not a great recorder. Though there is one absolutely wonderful recorder music out there. So we've got another guitar. It's a real funky looking one. This is an Epiphone Explorer, so a cheap version of a Gibson Explorer. This belonged to my brother. He bought it in high school, but he and I traded instruments. I mentioned a bass that I had between that 5-string bass and that first instrument we talked about. I traded that bass for this guitar, essentially. I didn't have an electric guitar, and he had bought a new one. And so he no longer had a need for this one. It has a nice kind of beefy tone. It plays really nicely. I really like it. It looks really cool. It's a bit uncomfortable to sit with. The corners are pretty sharp, and it's a weird shape. It balances weird. But it has a nice sound. One of the pickups is not really working, or I guess it's working now. Some of the electronics in here, since it's cheap and it's old, are kind of iffy. I believe this was made in 2010. And these cheaper instruments just really aren't made to last that long. It also has a pretty fun guitar strap. It has this studded, but it's way too long for me. I don't like my straps this long. I like it higher. I haven't played any of my basses with the straps, but it's way up. Also, has a pretty light gauge string on it, so it bends really well. So this is a new and temporary addition to my instrument collection. This is a cello. It is from Stewart Academy. Many of you probably played this instrument because it's one of the better ones and one of the ones that works. It's from 2013. So the newest instrument in my collection. I think it has a pretty nice sound, all things considered. It's a nice carved top. It has no cracks in it. It does have a sound post rattling around in there, which is unfortunate, and I don't have the tool to fix it. It plays really, really well. The strings are pretty close to the fingerboard. I took this specific cello because I think it's probably the best one we have at Stewart. It does have one fatal flaw, and that's it has this horrible wolf tone on the A string. And what causes that, or at least what's believed to cause that, is the other side of the string on the bridge vibrating. So by stopping that vibration, you could eliminate that tone. That's why it has this thing right here. It helps make that go away and make it sound like a good cello. It is a cello, so some of it's a bit piercing, especially the A string. It just really cuts through, and I'm not sure how much I like it. The C is nice and beefy. So we've come to the newest instrument in my collection. It's another Fender bass, an electric bass too. But I put new in air quotes because this was made probably in 1993. I just bought this about 2 weeks ago. It's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video. I wanted to show off my gear. It's a Fender Urge. It's a pretty rare Fender bass. It's a signature bass for the musician Stu Hamm, who is just this amazing bass player. It's really a unique bass. It's a shorter bass. Like if I put it next to the other basses, you would notice how much shorter it is. It's about 2 inches shorter, which may not seem like a whole lot, but in terms of instruments, that's huge. It's 24 frets, which is 2 whole octaves, as opposed to 21 frets on the other. Which means it plays a little bit faster. I have more range. Can just do a whole lot of cool things with it. You might also notice it has a lot of pickups. 3 whole pickups, and they all sound different. This bass can do literally anything. It's amazing. I've just had so much fun playing around with it. It's a great bass. It does just about everything I could ever ask for. Really happy with it. So that's pretty much my whole collection. I don't think I forgot anything, and if I did, I can just add it in later. I don't think it's very large, but a lot of people tell me that I'm wrong. Everything in my collection, I feel, serves an important purpose, and it's important. Just like with who plays what in orchestra, it's important to have people doing all of the different things in the orchestra, be able to cover everything. A viola serves a different purpose than a first violin, and a second violin serves a different purpose than the cello. And that's what my collection is. Each instrument serves a purpose, whether that is just being a violin, or being a 24 fret short scale electric bass, which I can do anything on, or being a 5-string bass, or being a fretless, or acoustic guitar. They all serve different purposes, just like we all serve different purposes in the orchestra. I hope you had some fun in this video. Answer the very short quiz on Google Classroom, and I hope you have a wonderful day.